We're ready.
So are you going to say it or like?
No.
Good afternoon and welcome. This is our monthly opportunity to do our Facebook Live setting. And this gives us the ability and opportunity to actually bring to you some of the cool things that are going on, but then also answer some of your key questions about what's happening here in Gresham and beyond. And first and foremost, I do want to introduce Eric Schmidt. He's one of our assistant city managers. And as you've already noticed, we do go to the same barber. They're really good at what they do. And just want to also recognize the image behind us. Normally we have a couple of different images, and this is to encourage Summer to join us as soon as possible. But we don't want summer the way we had it a year ago, because what I understand is a year ago yesterday is when we hit the highest temp in Portland, in the Portland metropolitan area of 115 degrees. We had that thing called the heat dome. I don't know where they came up with that name, but the heat dome was here about a year ago. So we don't want that, but we wouldn't mind it moving into summer, and we've got the image behind us to kind of encourage that. So before I go any further, I'm just going to give Eric Schmidt, our assistant city manager, just an opportunity to introduce himself. Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. As the Mayor mentioned, I'm Eric Schmidt. I'm one of the assistant city managers here with the city, and been with the city many years, approximately about, I'm working on my 25th year now.
Wow.
So have had a few different positions with the city, but I've been serving as an assistant city manager for the past little over a year now. So appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Well, we thank you for being here because, as we've referenced before, we get a lot of great comments about what folks get an opportunity to learn about. And before we go any further, also, I just want to give Eric a big thank you. I mean, 25 years of dedication to this incredible city is something that we should all be thankful for, because it's that consistency that really provides an opportunity for the institutional knowledge, kind of the ability to ensure that we've got that wisdom and everything that brings to bear on creating an environment that really bodes well for our city and the folks that live here and the tourists that come and visit. So we appreciate your dedication to the city of Gresham.
Thank you, Mayor.
So we've got a number of things that we're going to be touching on today. And again, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat so that we can get those questions, we can get them answered for you, so that you can be a part of the conversation and discussion. We can answer those key things that are on your mind. That's why we have this. That's why we do it live, so that we get the opportunity to really engage you on some of the questions that may come up. One of the big things that we're looking at right now is our youth services team. And when we think about kind of impacting our community in a positive way, I think in things about making sure that we have engagement and opportunity. And that's what our youth services team does. And it's just gotten stood up just recently. And they actually are under Assistant City Manager Eric Schmidt's his purview. And so what is the youth services team? What is it comprised of? What do they do? How do they positively impact our community?
Thank you, Mayor. I think the Youth Services Division is our newest division here at the city. It's a new service line. We've done work in the past to support youth, but thanks to the work of a lot of staff, as well as our elected officials and our state representatives, we were successful to get a $2 million grant through the state of Oregon, specifically around youth violence prevention efforts. So that really was the impetus for us also establishing a new division focused on youth services and really, looking at our youth for our future and how do we invest in Gresham youth going forward. So really happy that we have that new division, and for the support of council and the city manager, we're able to have that business line in place. It's a small division, but mighty. Right now we've got a staff of 2. We'll be hiring 1 additional support position. But the 2 folks that we have on board is we have Iman Gassemi, who is the manager for youth services. And he had worked at ERCO previously before he came here to the city. And also excited to have Marcel Frazier, who serves as our youth violence prevention coordinator. Marcel has local lived experience. He grew up, went to David Douglas, was a star athlete for David Douglas, and has done some work in the college and professional level, and was working at a college back in, I think, Mississippi, I believe, is when we were able to recruit him here at the city. So he was very happy to get back home and really serve the community that he grew up in. So we're really excited to have that division. Really excited about the work. It's primarily around youth violence prevention, but everything that relates to that. So we're still working through ultimately what that group will do. It will evolve, but we certainly are looking at things like internships for youth, how we support youth going forward with mentoring, recreational and social activities, anything that we can do to help support. And we're also excited that we had previously a youth advisory council that went dormant really during COVID. So we're excited to bring that back as well, starting this September with our school districts.
Wow, that is a lot of new stuff to stand up. Now, part of that program is going to include some recreational opportunities also for youth. And my understanding is it a CrossFit gym?
There is, yeah. So we have one of our contracts that we have with our community-based organizations is with As Is Underground. Mm-hmm. And so there are some free CrossFit workouts every Saturday morning that our youth can sign up for. So that's one of the programs that we've stood up as part of the youth violence prevention.
Well, I've never tried CrossFit, but as we were talking before we got started, I just yesterday morning did some high intensity interval training at home based on YouTube, and I got to tell you that my legs are incredibly sore. So I might just have to get more regular in that, or even drop in on the youth at the CrossFit gym to see how CrossFit goes. I've never done it before.
That sounds great. Happy to get you involved with that, and certainly going to reach out to our other counselors as well and extend an invitation.
They're also doing some late night basketball, right?
They are. Friday nights at HB Lee Middle School. They actually just kicked off last Friday, and my understanding it was a great turnout. We had about 20 or so kids out there. And they had a great time, and it will continue this week as well.
Excellent. And so that goes, it's weekly?
It's weekly.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to get out and maybe shoot a few baskets and bring a couple counselors, and maybe we could have a 3-on-3 tournament at the late night basketball. Of course, we're older now, so it may need to be mid-afternoon basketball.
Half court.
Yeah. I like that.
Horse.
Yes, where you're sedentary, you just shoot the ball.
Right.
I like the way you think. So when you just said something that really piqued my interest, and I think piques the interest of folks that are watching. And we'll jump down into this a little further, because youth violence prevention, it's going to be a portion of our Safe Gresham initiative. And our Safe Gresham initiative really looks at a holistic approach to making safe community. And there's 3 pillars to that, as we all have referenced. It's going to be prevention, intervention, and enforcement. When we think about kind of the prevention side of things, this is a component of that. This is a component of
it is.
It's really prevention.
Yes.
It's actually in the name, youth violence prevention.
Yeah.
And when we think about an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, how does the prevention component fit into this big picture of really looking at ensuring that we can have a positive impact on Safe Gresham?
No, I think that's a great question, Mayor. I think that when we look at the collaboration, prevention, and intervention, and we look at the pieces of that coming together under Safe Gresham, that the youth violence prevention program is just a huge part of that, in collaboration with our police and our other partners. As you know, thanks to you and the council, this last week accepted a proclamation as this week being Youth Violence Prevention Week. We have a number of activities scheduled for this week that I'd be happy to share with a few of those highlights.
Absolutely.
But I think that's part of what we look at in terms of how do we look ahead in terms of educational, recreational, social opportunities to get our youth engaged in different ways. And it's an investment, as you know. It starts. It's not going to be solved overnight. It's going to take time to really realize the results as we go forward. So we have to be a little bit patient with it, and that's something that we've talked about as staff. Is like we're putting as much energy as we can, but it will take some patience to realize all the results. So in terms of some of the events we have coming up this week, there's the Play Ball event that starts on Thursday afternoon, and then that is followed up on Friday. This Friday we have a 3-on-3 basketball, and we also have soccer that's going to take place this Friday on June 17th. And Saturday we also have We have a community cleanup through our Rockwood Preparatory that will start about noon on Saturday and end about 12:30, which will then turn into a picnic at Vance Park. And that's really ahead of Juneteenth, which is on Sunday. And as you know, there's a lot of celebration that will take place on June 19th, beginning at 12 at Vance Park.
Absolutely. Well, and that's critical. I mean, really, that concept of engagement and opportunity is the foundation of really making sure that our youth are finding positive ways to spend their time. I know we've got things like Summer Works with jobs and things like that, not that we do, but throughout the region, are all positive things that we can implement. Because as we look at Safe Gresham, and I know folks are concerned about safety, but it really isn't just looking at one component of what we do. It isn't just enforcement. No. That's a component of it. But it's really about the prevention and intervention. And that's where I think we've got to make some of the largest investments. And and that was one of the things that benefited me greatly as a young man growing up in the inner city of Kansas City, was being engaged, having opportunities to do positive things, have positive impacts in the community. And so as we shift across the continuum of what we want to do and what we're needing to do, I think it also comes down to folks are wondering about hiring police officers, and so we've been very active in doing that. We have competitive salary packages. We've given sign-on bonuses, retention items, and things like that to really encourage our folks and build our team. And so those have been positive things. But we're also looking at some of the non-sworn positions that really give us an opportunity to expand some of the things that we're doing. Because ultimately, the sworn positions, we should be using that in those situations that really require that. When I think about historically, before we had our homeless services team, a lot of our sworn officers were showing up to those type of situations. Mm-hmm. And now that we've got a great team there doing great work with some of our code enforcement cleanup, and what we've got in our unsheltered, in our homeless response team there doing great work, getting people housed. I just keep hearing numbers of folks getting housed from being in unsheltered positions and situations. That's incredible to see. Excited to see those types of things. And so we've worked on getting what we call community safety officers on board. So those are things that are going to lessen some of the workload on some of the folks that are sworn officers. But we've also opened up positions in the criminal analyst side of things, so that these individuals can also do some of the heavy lifting when it comes to research, when it comes to doing some of the investigative stuff. And so ensuring that we can have a comprehensive approach on that side of things, because I think lots of folks have that concern. And so it has been very positive to see some of these results. We got a Safe Gresham update just last week at the council meeting from Chief Goldberg. Just a lot of great information. And the youth services team was also there. The youth services division team was also there. They gave us some great insights. So very positive to see the positive effects that we have and we're having now within our community, especially as summer is upon us. And when we talk about opportunity, it's not just recreation. That's a key component. It's not just education, but there's another thing about opportunity that our community really absolutely needs to be looking at, and that's economic development. And I'm passionate about youth services and making sure that we do that well. As many people know, I'm also passionate about economic development, because when you see the path from poverty to prosperity, much of that gets filled in if people have opportunities, access to capital, access to educational opportunities to better themselves, access to how do you start and run your own businesses. And a lot of folks don't always know that we have an economic development department that does a lot of this work, that really helps support our business community, either getting things started, recruiting businesses in, supporting current businesses. And that's also under your direction. Give us a little bit of insight. Sure. About the economic development team and the work that this team consistently does.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about the work with economic development and what they've done over many years. For a long time, our economic development department focused on traded sector. So it's about industrial recruitment, retention, expansion efforts. But as we've reorged the city over the past year or so, we've now also reorganized economic development to include everything economic development related. So that includes not only industrial, but also commercial, retail, mixed use, and those sectors as well. So we have everything under one umbrella. Part of the work that we are doing, and that the economic development is led by Shannon Stady, our economic development director, and her great team. So again, a small but mighty team, and they do phenomenal work each and every day. And as they support not only, again, industrial, but as they are entering into more and more efforts on the commercial retail side, we know there's a lot of interest about different types of amenities that we hear about, whether it's a specialty grocery store or things like that we often hear about. Those are the things that we can move forward with on our end now as we work and leverage the relationships we have with our commercial brokers, developers, and things like that. I think within economic development, there's also small business support, and we do that each and every day. Anna Snyder is our small business coordinator, and she's here to assist anybody, both businesses large and small, because I think the small businesses are actually defined as like 500 employees. Okay, so that's great, but we really focus on anybody from 1 employee on up. So whether it is somebody that is looking to expand a small business, or even the entrepreneurial, right? So how do we get that garage to storefront, the emerging business, where do they want to be, how do they want to expand, and how do we support them? And our Small Business Center does that every day. So Anna and the team within economic development really partner with our business owners to help them navigate the city's permitting and licensing process. That's not what business owners typically do each day, so it can be frustrating or kind of intimidating because it's like, this is not what I do every day. That's where we can come in and help them navigate, and we do that. I think we do that well. We've got a lot of success, and as you know, we have the Garage to Storefront incentive program, something that's been very successful from the council for several years now. Really started back with the recession, back in about 2010, I believe, is when that first one came out. And it's been a popular and successful program that really just shows the city's investment in small business community.
Excellent. So you mentioned kind of small business and helping companies as they locate and grow here. We have an opportunity, and I've had an opportunity with our city manager Nina Vetter to tour some of our businesses that are in the community. You mentioned the word traded sector. What does that mean? What is traded sector?
Oh boy, you're going to catch me off guard on that. I need Shannon here to actually more definitively answer it. But it's really about, again, types of industrial that are on that, stock exchange. That how do they trade? They're the larger industrial. So for us, example of those within Gresham would include Boeing or Microchip or On Semiconductor and businesses of the such. Some of our food processing, Teeny Foods, things like that.
So these all sound like businesses that actually build a product or make a product here and then sell it to different parts of the world, the country. And so it really is bringing outside dollars to our community, either through investment or through the sale of, again, a product or service.
Yeah.
And so really cool. One story that I really love to tell, and you probably know which one I'm going to talk about.
That's okay. I was going to ask you to.
It's Imperial Brown.
Yeah.
It was so cool because I got a chance to tour Imperial Brown not too long ago. And it's a big facility. They've got 4 facilities across the country manufacturing, and they build the panels for walk-in coolers. And they build doors, either double seal and triple seal doors. I think they have the patent on triple seal doors. So if you have a triple seal door for a walk-in cooler, Imperial Brown makes it. And the fun thing is that I thought they were a global corporation that was headquartered somewhere else, founded somewhere else. During the conversation, the current owner says, no, we're actually founded here in Gresham. And I was surprised. I was like, wow, really? And he goes, as a matter of fact, we actually started in the 2-stall garage right across the street from City Hall. So so it's right over here, right from where we're sitting. And I was like, that's amazing. It started in this 2-stall garage right across from City Hall. Now they've got 4 facilities across the country. And again, they're headquartered right here in Gresham, called Imperial Brown. And many times as I walk into locations now, I look at the cooler to see if it's an Imperial Brown cooler. And over in the new POIC kitchen, I walked in. The first thing I did was look at the cooler, and sure enough, it's an Imperial Brown. So very cool to understand really how that all impacts. Now, Here's a question I get all the time. I see it on social media all the time. I think folks they have this question, and I think we should try and answer how the process goes. Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's.
I never heard of that.
I know. I'm sure you haven't. I'm sure you've never heard the question. Where are we going to get a Trader Joe's? But I kid you not. If there's one question that I get pretty consistently is, when are we going to get a Trader Joe's? Yeah. Or is Costco ever thinking about moving here? And so, again, I'm sure as we do recruitments and things like that, some things we can't really talk about until we get a certain way. So we're not really talking about whether or not they're on the front burner. But really, the question is, as those requests come in from community, how do we handle that? Or do we reach out to those organizations and say, hey, would you consider locating here? Do they have specific criteria many times of how they locate?
No, thank you. I would say prior to really changing our economic development strategies in terms of the reorg that we did, more historically, folks would come to us. Brokers would contact us, say, hey, I'm looking for this size of acreage site, or they already have a site in mind. They want to talk about the feasibility of a certain business. We always sit down with staff, sit down with the business. Happy to hear them out, answer any questions, try and help them find their way so they can come here to Gresham. I would say now, with again changing strategies, part of that will be, Shannon and I have talked about opportunities for us to collaborate and build relationships with our commercial brokerage community about saying, look, we are here, we want to be able to partner, and there are some things the city just can't do. I mean, there's limitations, but with whatever resources we have, we want to be able to be there as good partners, because that's really been a lot of our success. Is we get a lot of accolades, which is very nice, from different companies about how good Gresham is to work with. On the permitting process, there's always a project here or there, might have some challenges, but generally speaking, what we hear is we're a breath of fresh air in terms of working, that people can get a hold of us and that we will partner and find solutions. We're not going to get, we still have to make sure and cover our regulatory responsibilities, but we are seen as good partners and find solutions together. So we will work on those. I think for the viewing audience, in terms of Trader Joe's and Costco, we have had conversations with both, it's what we had heard from Trader Joe's is Gresham's definitely on the radar. I don't have more definitive at this point in time, but these conversations are ongoing, and hopefully we will have some more positive updates, because we hear Trader Joe's a lot, and we've heard Costco as well. One of the challenges with Costco is just going to be kind of the size of parcel that they might need. Yes. So there are some limitations that we will have, but yet again, we're looking at whatever opportunities we can.
Excellent. Folks, you heard it here first. We're at least on Trader Joe's radar. That's a start. Thank you for that response. So when we think about economic development, it's not just some of these larger trade sector industries, but it's also kind of what we call micro businesses. And I just want to highlight and thank our community members for reauthorizing at least the extension for the urban renewal area in the Rockwood area. If you have an opportunity, I would implore you to go to the market hall, patronize those businesses, buy some of the great food that's there. These are micro businesses that are now getting a tremendous opportunity to start in a location where you've got all of this concentration of young entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general getting their start. And as you referenced, the garage storefront program, Gresham's history has been one to support these efforts, and we've seen some of these businesses go from the garage to storefront and then really just expand and grow. So that's really cool and exciting to see, and we look forward to more of that. And again, just want to thank our community members to having the vision to extend the urban renewal area that's focused on Rockwood. You've seen a lot of great work that's there. We've got a lot of great work to do as we continue to go forward. Lastly, we want to touch on the financial sustainability question. We get some of the questions about, how do we have an opportunity to really start to invest in our community? Folks, reach out and says, hey, this park needs improvement, or that park needs improvement, or, this street needs an improvement, or this facility, those types of things. Well, all that requires finances, and that's the challenge. And part of some of this comes from dedicated funds. I mean, we've got stuff that comes in and dollars that come in specifically for roads, for infrastructure. And then we've got what we call our general fund. And that general fund, of course, is where we have much of the discretionary opportunity. And there is where police and fire sit, general administrative services, some capital things that we purchase, vehicles and things like that come out of that general fund. And the tricky part is that we're a city of about 114,000 people based on the last census that was done. And some of our comparable cities, say Hillsboro's at 130 million, our general fund's about 80 million, as you already know. You've acted in the role of our city manager for a while, and then also in the role as the budget person. So you're very well aware of what I'm sharing. So it's not an education, more of just a kind of a general discussion. And so when we're at 114, Hillsboro's at 108,000 population, and our budget is about $50 million less. Go to Beaverton. Beaverton's their general fund's 100 million. They're 97,000 people. Again, about 20 million more than us, but their budget doesn't reflect police and fire. I mean, it doesn't reflect fire and parks because they have two districts that fill that. So, their total budget probably runs about the same as Hillsboro's, about probably 120 to 130. 120 to 130 million dollars as opposed to where we sit in our general fund. So that's a big challenge for us. It's a big challenge. Police and fire represent about 90% of our current general fund. At roughly about $70 million is split between police and fire. And it's not to say that we're overspending in those areas. It just means that our budget, our general fund, is too small relative to our city, and that's a big piece that we have to be working on, and why as a city we're struggling to meet all of the things that and our city has grown substantially. And so those are some of the foundations for that struggle. And we're putting together currently a strategic plan. We've got the draft strategic plan that's going to be shared here in the next week. And then we've got the strategic financial plan that's going to be shared in July, the draft at least, for approval at the council in August,
I believe. Okay.
And so that's really going to set the stage for how we move forward. How do we better fund our public safety, community safety? How do we better fund our parks? How do we better fund, infrastructure and capital and those types of things? And so that's really critical because we have an amazing city here. You've been here for 25 years. You've seen the growth that has occurred, and you've seen a lot of the great improvements. Back 25 years ago, Gresham Station wasn't what Gresham Station is today.
Yeah,
it was pretty much fields
Yep.
For the most part. And so what it is today is something that's very much enhanced. Some of the new multifamily housing that's going in along Civic, super cool.
Yep.
And then there's two additional facilities that are going in, or at least one that's right across the tracks from that.
Yes.
And they're going to be looking to break ground on that.
Well, we are hoping anytime. The project is ready to be issued in terms of building permits.
Mm-hmm.
They're just finalizing a little bit more on their financing for their affordable housing component. But we look forward to them getting started here, we hope, in the next couple of months.
So additional living opportunities there also.
So 430 units.
Wow, 430 units.
Mixed use with commercial. There's, again, some commercial. I believe a brew pub is part of it.
Wow, people do like brew pubs, especially here
in
in
this
Gresham.
developer actually says it's just built into every development they do, is they always include a brew pub.
Yes. Well, there's burgers, fries, and beer. I mean, you can't miss there. So again, as we look at that, I think all of that goes together to really, as we consider what we need as a city, to really develop in the ways that we need. That stable financial foundation has to be there. And so again, we look to the opportunity to share the draft strategic financial plan here that's coming up in July, and then approval, and then we'll move later to how we get that approved and getting that out to our community members to ensure they have a voice in all the work that we're doing here as we look to achieve the vision that they've helped us create through Imagine Gresham. So a lot of great things happening. We also have a lot of events that are coming up. Music Mondays, make sure you get out to the Music Mondays. Super cool. Our skip program kicks off this month. Eric has already mentioned a number of things that are coming up in regards to our youth services and our youth violence prevention areas and some of the things we're doing there. And I also want to just remind you, I know he already referenced it, but Juneteenth, this Sunday, June 19th, Vance Park, festivities begin at noon and go into the afternoon. So please come out and help us celebrate. There's also going to be some opportunities. We've got the Charter Review Committee that's going on for the City of Gresham. It's kind of our constitution. We'll have some folks out there taking some of your comments in to ensure that you're included in that. So plenty of opportunities to come out and again have some fun, enjoy the festivities, but then also take the opportunity to give us some of that feedback. And just want to make sure that you know that next month we've got the Gresham Arts Festival coming also. Make sure you get that on your calendar. And for any more information that you need, please don't hesitate to jump over to GreshamOregon.gov, GreshamOregon.gov. Check out the events, and we'd love to see you out and about. And it doesn't look like we've had any questions. And so I just want to, first and foremost, thank our Assistant City Manager, Eric Schmidt, for giving us the time this afternoon. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank our communications folks. We've got Robin and Sarah here manning all of the cameras and everything that goes along with getting this production up. And so I just want to give a huge thanks for the two of them and all the great work that they do. And with that, again, thank you for dropping by. And until we see you again, stay safe and stay healthy.